to find a nice, warm, comfortable, blessed place to dwell in and seek permanence there. Unfortunately, for most of us, our journey is not finished, neither is the process of our perfection. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 1, the Torah portion of Vayeshev, which means, and he dwelt. So we go to the book of Bereshit, chapter number 37, and we read in verse 1, And Yaakov dwelt in the land of his father's sojournings in the land of Kenyan. Now, he has been criticized by some for the idea of settling down. The word dwelt here meaning to dwell, vayeshav, to seek permanence, to settle down. And so some have criticized him, well, you're supposed to be journeying. Actually, if you go back a few chapters to chapter number 35 in verse 1, Elohim said to Yaakov, Arise, go up to Bethel, and it's the same word, dwell there. So what he is doing is actually following the command of Yahweh to settle down, to dwell, to build a house, to seek some sense of permanence. Most of us like the idea of stability and security, the idea of settling in a good place. We look for the most advantageous neighborhoods and communities and cities and jobs and locations, as the real estate market is based upon location, location, location. It's all about where it is that you want to settle. So we find what suits us, what we prefer. And we get into this situation not only in a physical dwelling, but in our spiritual dwelling. We have this place that we want to be in. Maybe for some of us, it's finding a congregation after meeting in your living room, or just hanging with your family, or not having anyone at all. You look for something that is better. If you could get there, unfortunately, sometimes we learn to hide among the number. And we echo the voices of amens and attaboys and I agrees. We fellowship, we smile, we hug, we encourage, and we go home. But after we walk out the door, or in our homes after Shabbat is over, we go back to our routines of life, and we're not necessarily pursuing what it is that our spirit has been stirred up to pursue. We'd rather settle. It's just human nature to find a good spot and settle down. So let's look then at this man, Yaakov, and understand his process. His grandfather, Abraham, has walked through this land as a ger, a stranger, a foreigner. He purchased a piece of land and gained a title deed. He passed all of his possessions and his title deed over to Yitzhak, who then conferred those on to Yaakov. So Yaakov has these things, but are they benefiting him? Let's understand the dysfunction of his family. Not only has grandfather Abraham and Yitzhak had dysfunctional families, Yaakov seems to have ramped it up a notch or two. He has wrestled with Esau, who represents the professional church system. This is not a dive or a dig at anyone who is in church. I'm talking about the pomp, the splendor, the pageantry, the light show of professional religious church. We're not talking about those who are following Messiah and knowing him by a different name. We're talking about those that promote the system of religious Christianity, what I call churchianity. It's more about the building and the system than anything else. That's Esau. Lavan. Lavan is that systemite pastor who will usurp all the talents and abilities of someone else to further his own agenda, his own program, and his own reputation. He has wrestled with Hamor, who says, forget all of that. Let's assimilate. Let's you and I be one. World peace. Just marry into our family and let's share all your goods. He has lost his wife, Rachel, who possibly was still steeped to some degree in idolatry. He has been upstaged by his son, Reuben. His daughter Dinah has been raped and then kidnapped and held for ransom, basically, against the family. Two of his sons rose up in their zeal and in their anger and wiped out all the men of the town. So his reputation is tarnished and sullied. He is not trusted by those that live around him. And you have to ask yourself, what else should this man have to go through? Would it not be desirable for him just to find a nice, comfortable, secure, stable place and raise his family for the rest of his days, hide out, and just exist, hopefully with some sense of shalom? But on the spiritual side, he is needing to still be developed, as we all are. Let's read over in the book of 1 Kefa, chapter 5, verses 5 through 10. In the same way, you younger ones, be subject to elders and gird yourselves with humility toward one another. For Elohim resists the proud, but gives favor to the humble. Humble yourselves, then, under the mighty hand of Elohim, so that he exalts you in due time. Casting all your worry upon him, for he is concerned about you. Here's a warning. Be sober and watch, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Don't let that be you. Resist him, firm in the belief, knowing that the same hardships are experienced by your brotherhood in the world, and the Elohim of all favor, who called you to his everlasting esteem by Messiah Yeshua. Here's the part we don't want to hear. After you have suffered a while. Gee, thanks. After you have suffered a while, himself will perfect, establish, strengthen, and settle you. He will give us all of the things that we're looking for, but it is a process. We don't want the process. We want it now. We want it easy. We want it fluid. It doesn't work that way. Let's go over to the wonderful book called Yaakov, or James, and let's read verse 2 and following. My brothers, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the proving of your belief works endurance. And let endurance have a perfect work, so that you be perfect and complete and lacking in nothing. Again, a process, an ongoing process. 2 Corinthians chapter 1 and in verse 6, and if we suffer pressure or troubles, it is for your comfort and deliverance, being worked out and enduring the same sufferings which we also suffer. If we are comforted, it is for your comfort and deliverance. And our expectation for you is steadfast, because we know that as you are sharing in the suffering, so also in the comfort. And he goes on to relate, we were in perilous situations where we thought we were going to die, but overwhelming comfort and grace came to us, and now we come to give this grace and this comfort to you. Why? Because you're under pressure as well. You're enduring as well. A tactic of our adversary is to isolate us in our understanding of our endurance, our call to sufferings and perseverance, as if we're the only ones going through whatever it is that you or I are experiencing. If we feel isolated, we'll also then feel picked on. Yah is just after me. I must have done something wrong. No, we are being perfected. Yaakov endured and will continue to endure as we study his life, but the man is being perfected. Yah is perfecting you, me, all of Am Israel. But he gives us abundant grace in the midst of it. We'll pick up here tomorrow. Till then, shalom.